All right, DJ, let's start with the big one in Raleigh this week, 3:30 on Saturday. 6-3 Duke off the loss at Miami visits 5-4 NC State. Wolfpack, of course, beating Stanford last week. Wolfpack a 3-point favorite at Carter Finley.
Yeah, quick note first. Our Old North State tailgate is going to be there near Carter Finley Stadium. So I encourage folks to follow our social media accounts because we're headed to ECU on Thursday. We'll tell you some of those details later. And we're heading to NC State on Saturday. So we have a little bit of a tailgate tour doubleheader this week. But this Duke-NC State rivalry is actually a classic example of the casualties of conference expansion, right? These schools are located only about 22 or so miles apart. They've been members of the same leagues, including the Atlantic Coast Conference, for an eternity. And from 1924 to 2003, so that's a period of 80 consecutive years, 8-0, the only interruption to their annual matchup came in 1944 when they missed a single game because of World War II. However, because of course, the continued rounds of ACC expansion, this did stop being an annual rivalry about 2 decades ago. So, for example, even though this is Coach Dave Doran's 12th season as the NC State head football coach, this is only the 4th time in those 12 years that his Wolfpack will face the nearby Blue Devils. Back when the ACC had divisions, remember? The Wolfpack was in the Atlantic, the Devils were in the Coastal, so they just have not faced each other as often lately. The bottom line in the particulars of this year's matchup is that both Duke and State could end up with a mediocre record, like a 6-6, but either one could win out if you look at the schedule and could end up with a much prettier record and a much better bowl invitation. So essentially, each team is standing directly in the way of the other with these sorts of things in mind. One's going to take an important step forward on Saturday at Carter Finley. The other's going to take a step back, inevitably toward a mediocre campaign. Who will it be? Well, to me, the Wolfpack has been mediocre on both sides of the ball all season, but the Pack just played its most complete game of the entire year, 59-28, a victory over Stanford. And true freshman quarterback C.J. Bailey had his 3rd consecutive really strong outing. 18 for 20 passing, 234 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions against the Cardinal. Meanwhile, this Duke team that has been mostly mediocre offensively but truly elite defensively this season under the first-year head coach Manny Diaz, those Blue Devils just had by far their worst defensive game of the season, albeit a 53-31 loss at the hands of the now 9-0 and nationally number 4 ranked Miami Hurricanes. There are a couple of quick fun wrinkles in this one. Duke coach Manny Diaz was an NC State assistant coach under Chuck Amato for 6 seasons, not crazy long ago. And NC State's starting running back, Jordan Waters, was actually an all-ACC performer for the Blue Devils just last season. In the end, the number one key to this game, to me, by far, is how often Diaz's very well-coached defense at Duke can confuse or pressure or maybe create turnovers with that Wolfpack young, true freshman quarterback, C.J. Bailey, who has been excellent lately, but also is making just the 6th college start of his young career in this one.